No.
No. They're meeting after a long time. Huh?
Yes.
Yeah, guys, 1 second, I'll start. Yeah, guys, we'll start with exception handling. That is a topic that we are going to start from today. So let's go ahead and see what is exception handling and all. Okay. Okay. Uh, we like to start with exception handling. We'll first find out what are the different types of errors that a program can encounter. And I'm just going to explain about all these kind of things. Just give me a second, I'll start. Okay. Yeah, see this. So we will like to start with a concept name called as exception handling. Yes, our concept is called exception handling. Okay, let's go ahead and see what is exception handling. Okay, first we'll discuss about a concept called as this exception handling, guys. That's our topic name. So in this first we are going to understand. Okay, in this we are going to understand first about what are the different types of errors that can be there in a program. If you take any program, a program can have three types of errors. I repeat again, a program can have three types of errors. Okay, one is called a syntax error. Okay, the second one is called as a runtime error, and the third one is called as a logical error. Okay, so if you take any program, that a program can have three types of errors. I repeat my point. A program can have three types of errors. Okay, how many types of errors can be there in a program? Program can have three types of errors. One is the syntax error. Second one is the runtime error. Third one is the logical error. Okay, like that a program can have totally three types of errors. Okay, one is the one is the syntax error. Second one is the runtime error. Third one is the logical error. Like that we have three types of errors are there in a program. Okay, That's cool. Now let's understand. See, syntax errors means, suppose, let's say, for example, you missed out a semicolon, right? Or you missed out a curly brace. Suppose when you miss out a curly brace or when you miss out a semicolon, okay, do you know what kind of error that you are getting? If that is the case, then you are getting a syntax error. Okay, compiler is going to show me some kind of error which we are calling as a syntax error, right? That is what we are calling as syntax error. Am I clear, guys? Right? So there are three types of errors actually. In that, one kind of error is called syntax error, which already what we know about syntax errors are displayed by the compiler. Okay, at the compile time only you will come to know about the syntax errors. That's the first kind of error. Okay, now what I'm saying is, okay, syntax errors are also called compile time errors. Are also called compile time errors. Okay, so suppose if you take syntax error, compiler will give you, or compiler will raise an error or will show you an error. Suppose if you do any mistake in the syntax, that's the first kind of error. It's a simple kind of error, right? That we know. The second one is what? Runtime error. Okay, so these runtime errors, they are not the errors which are coming at the compile time. Compiler, okay, compiler doesn't know about this error. Compiler don't know about this error. But when you run the program also at the runtime, even though my program is compiled successfully, if my program is compiled successfully, what I feel that my program has no error. But when you run the program also, at the runtime also, there may be a chance of getting an error. That is called runtime error. So basically, when syntax errors will come, if you do not follow the Java language syntax properly. Java is a programming language, and every programming language will provide you some syntax to write the statements. So in case if you are not following the syntax of the statements of the programming language, then you are getting what kind of errors? Compile time errors. They are called syntax errors. Who can identify these errors? Java compiler. Java compiler can able to identify these errors, and Java compiler will definitely going to give you an error. Suppose if you miss out, that is called syntax error, right? So basic thing is what? The syntax errors will occur if you do not follow, if you don't follow, or if you do not follow the syntax of the statement. Don't follow the syntax of a statement. Who will identify these errors? Java compiler. So Java compiler will identify the syntax error, and then, am I right? Java compiler will identify the syntax error, will display an error message to the user. Yes, error message to the programmer or developer, anyone. Am I right or not? This is called what type of error? Syntax error. So Java compiler will identify the syntax error, will display the error message to the developer. This is called syntax error. But thing is, apart from syntax errors, we also have the second kind of error, which are called runtime error. Now I'm saying that runtime errors are also called as exceptions. So what the other name of runtime errors? Basically exceptions. Our concept is called exception handling only now. Let's understand. What I'm saying is now, runtime errors are also called as exceptions. Folks in online, I'm audible to you? Would you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So runtime errors are also called as what, guys? Simply, runtime errors are also called as exceptions. Okay, the question comes here, when runtime errors will come? See, syntactically my program is correct because I'm following the syntax. If I'm following the syntax, what does it mean now? If I'm following the syntax, what does it mean now? Java compiler is not going to give me any error because I'm following the syntax. But apart from that, at the runtime, then how I'll get error is runtime errors will occur not because of the code. Okay. Why syntax errors are occurring? Syntax errors occurs because of my code. But runtime errors does not occur because of the code. Runtime errors occur because of the data. When user will give the data, user will always give the data at runtime. Okay, runtime. User will enter the data to the program at runtime. Because of the data given by the user, there may be a chance of getting error. That kind of errors are called runtime errors. Okay. So when runtime errors occurs because of the invalid data is given by the user. Invalid data is given by the user. Am I clear with you? Okay. See, for example, I'm writing, let's say, for example, I'm calculating int c is equal to a divided by b. Tell me, is there any error in this syntax? Of course, I is in lowercase. Could you tell me any mistake or anything in this code? Int c is equal to a by b. Is the statement is correct in Java?
Yes, sir.
There is no syntax error.
Yes.
But at the runtime, a value and b value both are required.
Yes.
Suppose user has given value for a is 5 and value for b is 0. Values are given at runtime now. What is the value given to the variable a at runtime? 5. And for b it is 0. 0. Then what is happening now? 5 divided by 0. In Java, we cannot divide a number integer with a 0 value. Okay.
Correct.
So this is going to become runtime error. Actually, this is called exception.
Yes.
In Java, there is a name for it. It is called arithmetic exception. So every runtime error in Java have a specific name. But basically, it is called what? Runtime error. Why this error is occurred? It is not occurred because of the code. It is occurred because of what? Because of the data. It is not because of the code. It is not because of the code. It is because of the input or the data which is given by the user. Am I clear with you, right? Okay. Good. See. For example, one more example. Let's take 2-3 examples to understand. Again, see, suppose I have created one array. Suppose, assume that I have created one array. Let's say int ARR equal to new int of 5. Okay. See, is there any mistake or is there any syntax error in this line? This line is this line have any syntax error?
No.
ARR equal to do you have any syntax error in this line?
No.
An error first of all in this line? No. This is a way of creating an array, right? My array name is what? ARR. What's the size of the array? 5. The indexes are from 0 to 4. 0 to 4. That's what 5. Okay. If the size of the array is 5, the indexes of the array are from 0 to the 4. 0 to the 4. Okay. So what I'm saying here, guys, suppose at the runtime, what user is inputting is store the value 50 at index 5. Store the value at index 5. 50 at index 5. 50 at index 5 is the input given by the user. Store 50 at index 5. Okay. Who given this input saying that store the value 50 at index 5?
User.
At what time? Runtime. But actually my array has indexes from 0 to 4 only, na?
Yes.
But what user is saying that store the value at index 5. What is saying that store at ARR of 5 with value 50. Store 50 at ARR of 5. This is the value. Am I clear with you? Yes. But tell me, what are the indexes of this array when the size is 5?
0 to 4.
0 to 4. But what we are giving here? ARR
5 index.
5. Index 5. Then tell me, index 5 is a valid index or invalid index? Now this
Valid.
we are going to get one runtime error. This is called array index out of bounds exception. I told every runtime error will have some name. Okay, that is called exception. Okay, that is called array index out of bounds exception. So basically what I'm trying to say here, okay, these are all examples I've explained. I think you are clear with my examples, right? Could you tell me when runtime errors will occur? Because of the code or because of the data? Because of the data, not because of the code. Okay, because wantedly we don't want to write the code to get error. As a developer, we never think that we have to write the code in such a way that we have to get the runtime error. So error doesn't occur because of the code. Error occur because of the data. Am I clear with this?
Yes.
Am I clear with this, right? So tell me now, when runtime errors occurs, runtime errors are also called as what? Exceptions. Exceptions. Okay. So exceptions occur because of the data given at runtime to the code. Okay, because of the data given at runtime to the code. I'll tell you how to handle the exception. That's the second thing. First, I like to save this document for today on today's date so that I can share at the end. Next point, guys. So what I'm trying to say is you've got the when why exceptions will occur. Let's see what happens when exception occurs. Okay. For the third kind of error, basically logical error. Actually, logical errors will not be identified. They won't occur at compile time, or even they won't occur at runtime also. Okay, how to identify the logical errors means, suppose you give input. For the input, you are expecting some output, and suppose if your output is not matching with your expected value, then you can find that there is a logical error. See, for example, I want to calculate a plus b. That's my intention. When I give value 5, a value 5, b value 4, I'm expecting output 9. But it is giving me 1. Suppose. I have no error now. I'm not getting error at compile time, no syntax error, and it is not a runtime error also. But output I expected is 9, but real output, actual output I got is 1. Expected output is 9, actual output is 1. Then what can I identify?
Logical error.
There is a logic mistake I did. Actually, I have tried a plus b, but by mistake I written a minus b. A plus b means 5 plus 4, 9. But it's giving me 1 means what? 5 minus 4, 1. Which means I did mistake in what? I did mistake in logic. This type of error is called logical. But it won't be shown to you. Your compiler don't show. Your JVM don't show. Because this is not a compile time error. This is not a runtime error. This is called what? Simply logic mistake. Who should identify the mistake? Developer only. Okay, developer, tester, okay, whatever, better. I mean, somebody, it may be the developer or a tester, is responsible to identify the logical errors. Are you clear with me, right? So, but you won't get any help from the compiler, or you don't get any help from the JVM. Okay, so which type of errors is difficult actually? Which type of errors is difficult to find out now? Logical errors.
Logical.
The compile time error, syntax error, compiler will show to me. If, for example, there is a runtime error, against JVM will show to me. But if it is a logical error, nobody will show to me, right? So I have to find out through my testing. So that's what difficult errors to find out. Okay. So I will like to try the one point on logical error. So logical errors does not occur because of the code, or not because of the data. Okay. Okay. They occur because of the mistake. Because of the mistake did in writing the logic. So who should identify this? Who will identify this mistake? Who will identify this mistake, and who has to identify the mistake? The developer. Okay, the developer or tester. Tester should identify logical errors. Okay, like that totally, how many types of errors we have? 3 types are there. Syntax error, runtime error, logical error. Okay, guys, 3 types of errors are there. Now, but in these total errors, our intention is what we want to know about what type of error? Runtime error. Runtime error is also called as exception. Okay. Now we are going to discuss about exceptions topic now. These are the concept. First of all, the base concept. 3 types of errors are there. Okay. Now let's see what happens. For example, I have written Java program. I have written my Java program, and also I am executing my Java program. And while executing the Java program, I should give some input. So I have given some input values also. I am expecting output actually, but suddenly I got an error. At runtime, I got an error. What happens generally if I get an error? Suppose I don't know about exception handling. What happens if error is occurred? Okay. What happens if error is occurred is, first of all, JVM will terminate the program. JVM will terminate the program execution suddenly, which is called abnormally, not normal, abnormal. First, it will terminate the execution of the program. Then JVM will display me some exception details. That runtime error is called exception. That's called what details? Exception details. Who will show to me? JVM. First, what it will do before showing the details to me? Before printing the details of exception, it will first terminate the program. My project execution is suddenly terminated. Suddenly stopped. Suddenly terminated. Simply, it is closed. That is going to happen actually when an exception occurs. But our intention is what? If suppose an exception occurred, if for example there is a mistake happened in the data, I mean say the user has given invalid data. Suppose if user has given invalid data, don't terminate the program execution. Sorry, because there are other users also. There are other users are also sending the data or working with the project. If you take a real-time project, now only one user is not using that application. Project is nothing but an application, right? If application is suddenly terminated because of one user has given the data, what about other users? Actually, other users have given correct data only. But what happened here? The program execution is terminated. Application execution is stopped, terminated. Because of the data given by one user, other users are also getting affected here. That's why whenever an exception occurs, terminating the application is not a solution. We have to handle this problem. Suppose if a user has given invalid data, what it should show to the user? You given invalid data in a understandable manner. You given invalid data. Please try to give me valid data. Am I right or not? So that application execution is not terminated. Am I correct? If application is terminated, what will happen? If application is terminated because of the input given by one user, if application is terminated, it is affected to other users also. If application terminated within a second, a business is going to lose so much of amount of money. Obviously, if you take any e-commerce application or some kind of any business application, then they are going to lose millions of rupees, okay, crores of rupees, just for 1 second or 1 minute. Okay, right? So that's where we have to understand about how to handle the exceptions. Okay, so exception handling is a topic which all deals with how can you handle the runtime errors smoothly. Okay, how can you handle the exceptions smoothly? That's a concept of what? Exception handling. Am I clear with you online, folks? Okay.
Yes, sir.
If an exception occurs, what we don't want? Suppose if there is an exception occurred, what we want? We don't want to terminate the program execution or application. Otherwise, we don't want to terminate the application immediately, abnormally. What we want? We want to inform about this error to the user in a understandable manner. For example, if suddenly exception occurred, JVM is going to show me some details. If I am a Java programmer, if I already know about Java, I can understand it. But what in case if, for example, other users are using the website, but they don't know about Java? For example, many people are connected with Amazon or Flipkart. Will they know Java? No, right?
No.
Suppose this error displayed to them. What's the use of it? They can't understand anything. So you have to notify about this error. You have to notify this error to the user in a user understandable manner. Did you get my point? In a user understandable manner. And also we do not want to immediately terminate the application, because if application is terminated, it will be affected to the other users as well. Am I clear with you? Folks in online, am I clear with you?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. That's why we need to apply a concept called as exception handling. If there is any error occurs at runtime, instead of terminating the application abnormally, we would like to notify the details, error details to the user in a user understandable manner, and we want to run our application smoothly without terminating the application. Am I clear with you? Okay, that's where which concept is required? Exception handling. Am I clear with you online folks? Folks, am I clear with you online people?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So I would like to write these points. So what points I want to write is, so generally my question is now, what happens when exception occurs? Let me give in the form of a diagram first. See guys. See everyone. Let's say for example, okay. Let's say for example guys, this is main. Okay, just we are discussing here, saying that this is main. Main means main method. This is JVM, better word. This is JVM. This is main. Okay, this is main. And for example, this is another method like divide. This is for understanding, guys. This is JVM. JVM, okay, Java Virtual Machine. This is the main method. I'm not writing complete code, only for understanding. It is calling divide 5, 0. It is calling divide 5, 0. It is calling this method divide 5, 0. Guys, divide 5, 0. Next. This is divide. Everybody try to understand now. Here it is finding int c is equal to a by b. A divided by b. Suppose 3 boxes are there with you like this. Okay, there are 3 boxes with you. I repeat guys, there are 3 boxes with you. Okay, now tell me, we know that JVM calls which method? Main method. Do you know JVM calls main? Who will call the main method of Java? JVM only. Every Java program's execution starts from where? Main method. So who is going to call this main? JVM will call the main.
Yes.
Guys, JVM will call the main, guys.
Yes.
Cool, very good. Could you tell me now? Main is now calling which method, guys? Divide method.
Divide. Yeah.
Main is, sorry. It's not. Okay. Tell me, guys. Who is calling this divide method now? Main is calling it. But tell me, while dividing c is equal to a by b, Then tell me there is an exception. Runtime error occur because what's the value? A value given 5, B value given 0. 5 divided by 0 is going to give exception. Exception. Did you get my point, guys? Exception occurs here. Yes. So I'm writing here. I'll write here exception occurred. Simply writing exception. Got it? Exception. Tell me what happens if exception occurs.
Program will terminate.
Exception occurs. I'll tell you what happens. Tell me divide is there. Na? This divide will propagate this exception to the
Main.
will propagate the exception means will transfer. Will transfer the exception to whom? Main.
Main.
Now main will
Main.
transfer this exception to whom?
J.
Then what JVM will do immediately?
Terminate the.
JVM will immediately terminate the program, terminate the application, and then it will display the exception details. Exception details. This is what happens generally whenever an exception occurs. Am I clear with you? This is a diagram I want to first explain. Am I clear with this diagram?
Yes.
I will write the points on this, but this diagram I want to keep it in our document also. Okay, now let's see what happens if exception occurs. Folks in online, other people, other guys, are you understanding the session?
Yes. Yes.
Online
Yes.
guys, remaining all guys, what about you? What about you?
Yes,
Did you
sir.
understand the session?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm talking about what happens
Daddy,
when exception occurs.
I do this right now.
What happens if an exception occurs? That's what the point here. Okay, very good. So I just want to insert the diagram, then I just want to write the statements on it. This is an example for us to write the points here. Could you tell me now what is happening here? There is an exception occurring divide method, right? Then tell me that exception is propagated. I'm using a word called propagated. It is propagated to whom? Main. Main is propagating to whom? JVM.
JV.
Okay, so I'll write here. Here, exception has occurred. Where it is occurred? Exception has occurred in divide. In divide method. Okay, divide method. It is propagated means transferred. Use the word propagated. Okay. Tell me this. It is propagated to which method? Main method.
Main method.
Main method. What main method is doing now? Main method
Propagating to JVM.
propagating the exception to
Exception to JVM.
propagating propagating the exception to the JVM. Okay, what JVM will do now? JVM will first terminates the execution. Will terminate the execution of the application. Will terminate the execution of the application, and then it will show the exception details to the user. Okay, right? Guys, everybody, am I clear with you? Okay, right.
Yes, sir.
To the point here. Okay, this is what happens when an exception occurs. This is an important thing that you people need to know first of all. Then I will explain about remaining all. Basically, this is what is going to happen. What happens when an exception occurs? But our intention is what we want to do. Next question is what we want to do. Means what we want to achieve. What we want to achieve. or what we want to do?
We want to display the user to provide a proper data.
See, exception details are in Java. User cannot understand that.
Yes.
Thing is what we want to notify about the exception to the user. In a user
Understandable manner.
user understand, not exception details, because users are not the. There are many Java, for example, take SBI banking application is developed in Java, but there are SBI customers. All the customers of the SBI they know about Java only. They are all the Java developers. No, right? So
No.
that's why they can't understand it, right? So in a message which can be understood by the user, convey this, notify the exception error to the user in a user understandable message. And also we don't want to terminate the application. We want to run our application smoothly. That's what we want to do. For that, which concept you have to apply is exception handling. Did you understand the concept now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So guys, what I'm trying to say, what we want to do. See, exception details. What we want to do? Exception details are in Java programming language. Am I right or not? Which users of the application cannot understand. Cannot understand. Am I clear? Guys, exception details are in Java programming language, which users of the application cannot understand. Definitely they can't understand. They can't understand. Okay, then what we want to do? Okay, what we want to do is, if an exception occurs, guys, if an exception occurs, application has to show the user a message in understandable format. If an exception occurs, then application has to show the user a message in understandable format, and application should run smoothly without termination. Did you get my point? So what we want to do, if an exception occurs, then application has to show the user a message in understandable format, and application should run smoothly without a termination. If it is terminated because of one user given data, what about other users? Because at a time, millions of users are accessing my application. It is affecting the other users, all the millions of other users. They all gave user proper input, correct input, but still they are not getting a response because of application is terminated. But we do not want to do that, okay? Without termination. Are you getting my point now? Right. So to achieve this, we need to apply a mechanism called what? Exception handling. We need to apply a mechanism called exception handling. So exception handling is a mechanism. This mechanism we need to apply. Let's see how to apply and all. That's a secondary thing. I'll explain about what are the keywords given and all. But this is what called as exception handling. Are you clear about so far whatever I have explained so far? Right. Let's see, for example. Let me share one example. For example, see, I have created one university website. As a Java developer, I created one website, university website. That website is, the purpose of the website is, there are many students are there. So one of the employee working in university or whoever, they can store all those university students details into the database. I created one website for that. I gave that website to the university, and in that university they allotted one accountant person saying that what you use this application, use this website, and store all our university students' details in the database. Okay, capture, store it in the database. I mean to say, use this application and store, record all the information. When he is typing that information, suddenly what happened is he written wrong course name. Universities doesn't have that course. By mistake, he typed some course name that is not offered by the university. In that university, that course is not there, first of all. Okay, right? Okay, that is a technology university, for example. But he has given course name is fashion technology. Actually, that university doesn't offer fashion technology, for example. And he just entered the data and he is clicking the submit button. One page is given to the user, na? Submit button. Suddenly, he got an exception. Suddenly, application is terminated and he got a very big message. Tell me, accountant is not a Java developer. In university, accountants don't know about Java. What happened now? Suddenly, application is stopped, terminated, and he got a very big message. He don't know about what has happened. Then he is calling the IT support team guy. Let's say, for example, he is calling me because I only developed the project. He is calling me. He is calling me and saying that suddenly my application is stopped and I got a very big error. I don't know what to do. Please come and help me. Okay, for example, it is taking for me, let's say, for example, 4 hours to go to that place. Let's say, for example, 4 hours time. What about these 4 hours of time for that accountant? He has to stop. He has nothing to do now. Okay, after 4 hours, I reached there. After reaching there, by seeing that exception message, I got to know that this guy has entered a wrong course name, which is not offered by the university. Okay, then I told that guy, because of this mistake, you got this error. Don't type like that. Only type the course name which is offered by the university only. Am I clear with you, right? Tell me, just for this message, for this just simple reason, let's say, for example, 4 hours of time is wasted for him. 4 hours of work is wasted for him. Okay, if my application, when I am creating, if that any guy enters the wrong course name, for example, my application is showing that, hey, you entered the wrong course name, your university is not offering this course, please enter the valid course name only. If this message is shown to the user, then that guy only can understand them. So how can I achieve all these things? By using the concept called as exception handling. Did you understand the concept now? Right. Guys, online folks, did you understand my example? Did you understand my example? What example I'm trying to?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes. Yes. So that's why exception handling is required. Very good. Good to know. So what we want to do whenever exception occurs, we do not want to terminate the application suddenly, abnormally. Suddenly means abnormally. Okay. We want to show a message which can be understood by the user. And also we want to run the application smoothly without termination. For that, we need to apply a concept or mechanism called as exception handling. Very good. So to know about exception handling, first of all, we have to discuss about things called as exception class hierarchy. Then later we'll understand about exception handling, how we can do it and all. Okay, right? Good. So far, I have explained about the base concept, which is very important for everyone to know initially. Next, I want to start with. If I talk about hierarchy, guys, exception class hierarchy. Now, we have to understand, if you want to know about exception handling, first of all, you have to know exception class hierarchy. After that, you need to know exception handling keywords. Okay. After knowing about exception handling keywords and exception class hierarchy and exception handling keywords, then we can start writing applications and we can apply this mechanism. So you have to know about exception class hierarchy. So let's see how exception class hierarchy that you people can understand. Exception class hierarchy is our topic. Let's see. Okay, done. Let's go ahead. Exception class hierarchy. I will write this hierarchy in the drawing area. Okay. You know, for every class in Java, do you know who is the base class for every class in Java?
Object
For every
class.
class in Java, who is a base class generally?
Object.
Object. Object is a base class for all classes in Java. Okay, I said either directly or for example, you are writing class B extends class A. Who is a base class or parent class of class B?
Class A.
Class.
For class A, who is the parent class? Object.
Object class.
Like that. For example, object is a parent class for all classes in Java. Okay, let me write. Let me write object first on top of this. I'm writing hierarchy. Object. Guys, there is a class in Java called throwable. There is a class in Java called throwable. Throwable is a child class of object. Throwable is a child class of object. Throwable is a class. Object is a class. Throwable is a parent, child class, and parent class is object. Okay. Of course, for object you know you're writing extends object. Extends is a keyword now. For example, class B extends class A. Like that, if a class B extends class A. What's the keyword we use? Extends keyword. Extends keyword. For example, for extending object class, extends keyword is not required because by default, who is a base class? Object. That's what I'm saying. Nothing. Now, throwable has two child classes. Throwable has two child classes. One child class name is error. E capital letter error. We'll discuss about this next. But error is also one child class of throwable. And other child class name is exception. Basically, tell me now, how many child classes are there for throwable? Two child classes are there. Sorry?
Error and
Error and
exception.
so how many child classes are there for throwable? Two child classes. One is error. Second one is
Exception.
Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Please understand. These are all classes only, right? No interfaces.
Yeah.
All are classes only. Object is class, throwable is class, error is a class, exception is a class. E capital letter error is one class. Exception is one class. From this exception, from this class exception class, there are direct child classes are there. Let me write some of them. Direct child classes are there. Okay, direct child classes are there. Let me write. These are big names because these are all classes. One is class not found exception. One is class not found exception. Please understand here. Class not found exception. I'm keeping arrow mark like this. Okay. So class not found exception is a class which extends exception. Exception class extends throwable class. Obviously, throwable class extends object class. That's a hierarchy. Did you understand the hierarchy now?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Please understand. There is another class I'm writing here, which is let's say something called IO exception. Everyone, please try to understand IO exception. IO capitals, IO exception. Let's say, for example, I'm writing one more class called file not found exception. Guys, please understand. Okay, file not. Just these are all classes I'm writing. Nothing to understand here. File not found exception. Okay, what is it? File not found exception. Okay, then I have something called as I have something called as interrupted exception. Okay, many are there. I'm just writing some of them only.
Exception.
Interrupted exception. Okay, guys, I'm not writing everything. I'm just talking about. Okay, like this, if I start writing, there are many classes are there. Class not found exception, I have written IO exception. Okay, file not found exception, interrupted exception, etc. These are all comes under one category. These are all comes under one category called as checked exceptions. These are all comes under one category called as what classes? Checked exceptions. I'm writing in brackets. Checked exception. I'll tell you what is checked exceptions and unchecked exceptions. Some names I gave. Actually, there are many other classes are there. Okay, file not found exception I written, IO exception I've written, class not found exception I've written, interrupt exception I've written, etc. These are all comes under which category? Checked exceptions. Similarly,
Unchecked.
there is a class called as runtime exception. Hierarchy you're learning today. These are all classes. There is a class called runtime exception. There is a class called what? Runtime exception. Let me write some of the names here. There are some classes which are extending the runtime exception class. Okay. Let's say, for example, there is a class called arithmetic exception. What's the name? Arithmetic exception. Arithmetic exception. And let's say, okay, let's say there is a class called
Index.
okay, there is a class called null pointer exception. I'm using some names. Let's say, for example, there is a class called null pointer exception. There is a class called null pointer exception. And let's say, for example,
Array.
class called array index out of bounds exception. So many are there, but I just wanted some of them only. Okay, array index out of bounds exception. Array index out of bounds exception. Okay, array index out of bounds exception. For example, I'm writing number format exception, class cast exception. Many names are there. Okay, let me write all the names. It's not possible to write now, but at least some of the names I want to include here. Let's say class cast, not class not found, class cast exception. Okay, let's say number format exception. So there are many 1-2 names I'm typing. Let's say, okay, let's say the name I want to write is number format exception. These are all, guys, whatever I've written, these are all comes under one category called as unchecked exceptions. Which category they are called? Unchecked exceptions. So basically what I want to say is, no, whatever the names I've written here, these are all what here? These are all the classes. Because every exception in Java is a class. If you look at now, who is the base class for all checked and unchecked exceptions? Exception. But for unchecked exceptions, who is the base class?
Run.
Runtime exception.
For checked exceptions, who is directly the base class?
Exception.
Exception.
And for exception, who is the base class? Throwable.
Throw.
Throwable class. Throwable class, who is the base class? Object.
Object.
Object. Okay, this is called what hierarchy? Exception class hierarchy. So first we'll add this exception class hierarchy. Then I will explain about what is checked exception, what is unchecked. There are two types of exceptions in Java. There are two types of exceptions. Are two types. What are the two types? Checked
Checked
exceptions and unchecked exceptions.
Well time and well time.
I'll tell you. Okay. First, I would like to copy the hierarchy here. I want to insert the picture. You got to know about these things. Right. What do you got to know? Hierarchy. You got the hierarchy now. So now, how many types of exceptions are there now? Two types are there. Whatever is there in this hierarchy, these are all what? Interfaces or classes?
Classes.
Classes. These are all not interfaces. You know interfaces already? Okay, yesterday
Yeah.
only, I mean, day before
Yes, sir.
yesterday we discussed about interfaces example and what is an interface we have discussed. Am I right? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Actually, at the time of discussing interfaces, I forgot to tell you about a point. I will cover that point today after this discussion. Okay. So first of all, could you tell me, guys, what are all these? These are all called what?
Classes.
Exception.
Then what are these? Are all called as what? Classes.
Classes.
Okay. Who is a super class or base class or parent class for all checked and unchecked exceptions?
Exception.
Exception class has a base class called throwable class. Throwable class has a base class called object class. And for all unchecked exception classes, who is a base class, guys? Runtime. Okay, na? Good. See, I will talk about exceptions later. We discuss about interfaces, right? Actually, while discussing about interfaces, I forgot to explain one point. That point I want to explain now. Guys, I forgot actually. So, when I'm recollecting about what I told you about interfaces, then I came to know that, oh, this point I missed out. Which point I missed out?
Anonymous class. Inner class.
Types of interfaces are there. Like we got types
Types.
of exceptions here. Similar types of interfaces are also there. One is called normal interfaces. One is called normal. Just I will explain in a notepad. Please remember it and try to write your own notes for this. Okay, what is the point I missed about interfaces? Types of interfaces. Guys, really, I missed out this point. When I'm talking about interfaces in the last session, I forgot to explain about this point called as types of interfaces. Okay, there are three types of interfaces. One is called normal interfaces. Second one is called marker interfaces.
Functional interface.
And third one is called functional interfaces. Okay, function interfaces are included in Java 8. From Java 8. From Java 8 onwards, we got function interfaces. So guys, how many types of interfaces we have? Three types. Normal interfaces, marker interfaces, and function interfaces. Okay. Just I'll give you one point on this. Like whatever interfaces you create, they are called normal. I mean, normal interface can contain any number of public static final variables and any number of public abstract methods. Because what interface contains? Interface contains
Public
Public
static
static final variables.
variables.
Public
And public abstract methods.
Public abstract methods. Interface contains public static final variables and public abstract methods.
Abstract method.
Okay. Now normal interfaces can contain any number of public static final variables and any number of public abstract methods. Any number. Okay. That's called normal interfaces. But when you come to marker interfaces are empty. They don't contain anything. They don't have any variables. They don't have any abstract methods. Nothing. Empty interfaces. Marker interfaces are called empty interfaces. Okay. Just I'm writing 3 points, guys. Please note down and keep it in your mind. Later, when time comes, I'll explain you more on this. Normal interfaces can have any number of public static final variables any number of public abstract methods. Normal interfaces can have any number of public static final variables and any number of public abstract methods. Next, marker interfaces. Marker interfaces are empty interfaces. Empty. They don't have anything. They don't have any variables and methods. They're empty. They don't have anything. Next step. Functional interfaces. Functional interfaces have function interfaces can have
only one abstract method.
Only one abstract method. It can have any number of variables, that's okay. Can have only one abstract method. Okay, can I have only one abstract method? Single abstract method. Okay, can I have a single abstract method or only one abstract method? Any what? And it can have any number of public static final variables. It can have any number of variables. Default methods. Static methods. Because I told from Java 8 onwards, you know, interface can also contain two new things. What are the new things? Default methods and static methods. These are newly added from Java 8 onwards. This you will understand only at Java 8 level because we are going to see Java 8 features once we complete the collections. Okay. So function interfaces can have only one abstract method. It can have any number of variables, default methods and static methods. But tell me, how many abstract methods are there in function interface? How many abstract methods are there in a function interface? Only one abstract method, single abstract method. Marker interfaces are empty. They don't have variables, methods, nothing, just empty, open, close, empty. That interface is empty. I'll tell you what's the use of this later. What about normal interface? Can have any number of public static final variables and any number of public abstract methods. So am I clear with this? This point I missed out. Just have given you. Please keep it in mind. Later we'll come to know more on this. But when we are working with Java 8, I'll explain. But just only names I want to tell you now. What are the three types of interface in Java? Normal interfaces, marker interfaces, function interface. Normal interface can have any number of public static final variables and public abstract methods. Marker interfaces can have empty, they don't have anything. Function interfaces can have only one abstract method and any number of public static final variables, default methods, static methods, everything. But abstract method is only one. That is called what? Function interface. Okay, na? How many types are there totally?
3 types.
3 times.
Just keep this point in mind. Okay. Now, this is about types of interfaces, guys. Similarly, we have types of exceptions now. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. How many types
Two
of
types.
exceptions are there? 2 types. What are they? Checked exceptions,
Checked.
unchecked exceptions. Okay.
Exception.
Right. Okay. So I will explain about this. It will take some time to give you idea on checked exceptions and unchecked exceptions. Here we'll stop the class for today, and further we will continue tomorrow. Okay. Further we will continue tomorrow, and tomorrow I will add the notes in the same document, and then I will share this document with you. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay, sure, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Bye, guys. We'll continue on tomorrow. Thank you.
Early.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.